Today, I'm going to tell you why English immersion alone is not enough to make you fluent by itself. Now, there are many reasons for this, and I would say the first one is simply just diversity. With diversity, if you move to a big city in an English speaking country, you may not necessarily need to know English, if you can believe that. For example, if you come from a country in Southeast Asia and your first language is Mandarin Chinese, and then you come on over to New York City, you can literally get by. You can literally live your life from start to finish without knowing any English whatsoever. In New York City, you can find plenty of people who also speak Mandarin Chinese. You can work for them, you can interact with them, you can have all of your social situations revolve around the Chinese community. You do not even need to know English in order to live and interact with people in a big city in a native English speaking country. You can have bilingual Chinese people assist you in everything that you do. I've seen this plenty of times before in big cities, in native English speaking countries, and you don't even need English if you go to somewhere such as that. If you go to somewhere with diversity, the decision will really be up to you. In many cases, you can find a comfort zone with your own community of people who share your native language or come from your home country. However, even with the immersion, you will still need to go out of your way if you want to become fluent in English and actually use the resources around you to improve your English skills. And this leads me to the second reason, which is proactivity. Even if you go to an English speaking country, you will need to be proactive if you want to become fluent in English. There is no way around it. You will need to work hard if you want to become fluent in not just English, but really any language. If it were easy, everybody who attempted it would succeed, but they don't. Most people who attempt it actually fail, which is why there's a small percentage of people in the world who are polyglots and know many languages fluently, and there's a very large percentage of people in the world who are unilingual or barely bilingual. If you see anything on the internet that tells you that you can become fluent in English passively, or if you just go to an English speaking country, the immersion will just wash over you and you'll magically become fluent. It does not work that way. If you want English immersion to work for you and actually improve your English skills, you will need to proactively study and try really hard while being immersed in English at the same time. One will not work without the other. And even if you go to an English speaking country and you try to be proactive with your learning, there's still another obstacle that you will encounter, and this is human nature. Now, when I say human nature, unfortunately, if you go to English speaking countries such as Canada, the United States, the UK, or Australia, a lot of English speakers will not have the patience to help you with your English, especially with your conversational English. Is there going to be the odd person who is really nice and really polite and will stop and help you with your English conversation? Perhaps, but unfortunately, most won't unless they are getting paid to tutor you or to teach you. This can be a little bit discouraging for people who travel to English speaking countries, want to use their English and exercise their conversation skills with native speakers, but unfortunately, they don't have the patience to speak with someone who struggles to converse at the same level as them. However, the good thing is that, in my opinion, I don't think you necessarily need to converse with native English speakers in order to make progress with your English conversation skills. You could make a ton of progress at becoming a better speaker on your own without using native English speakers or anyone else. Seriously, I did this when I needed to learn the French language in my home country, and I made a ton of progress just practicing speaking on my own and having conversations with myself as opposed to native French speakers. And this leads me to my fourth point, which is exposure. Simply put, just because you are in an English speaking country does not necessarily mean that you're going to get the amount of exposure that you will need in order to become fluent in English. I will go as far as to argue if you go to New York City, but you are not proactive, like I mentioned earlier, in trying to use all of the resources around you to immerse yourself in English, you can literally get more exposure to the English language on the internet back in your home country. If you're in China, or if you're in India, or if you're somewhere in the Middle East, Africa, or Eastern Europe, you can literally get more exposure to the English language just by scrolling through TikTok in English, going through Instagram reels in English, watching YouTube videos in English, just by diving deep using the internet. You can get more exposure than actually being in an English speaking country if you are not proactive in using the tools around you. This is a huge point why English immersion alone is not going to make you fluent. You really, really still need to work hard. You still need to try, and you still need to go above and beyond and go out of your way in order to make things happen and succeed, which leads me to my last point, which is you need to have the right mindset in order to succeed in becoming fluent in not just English, but to become fluent in any language at all. As I mentioned earlier, most people are not fluent in multiple languages because it's difficult. If it were easy, everybody would be fluent in every language. If you want to become fluent in English and if you want to make this happen, you need some sort of purpose for learning the English language. If you just want to learn English to be cool, or if you just want to learn English out of vanity, it is going to be incredibly difficult to develop the mindset that you will need to succeed in becoming fluent in English. Because once you discover how hard it really is and how long it may actually take you, vanity is not going to be a good enough reason to continue spending all that time and effort just to learn English. As somebody who helps thousands of people learn English, I can tell you that I've noticed the ones who make the most progress, the ones who learn most efficiently, and the ones that I see succeed eventually are the ones who have a legitimate reason for learning the English language. This could be for travel purposes. They actually want to immigrate and live in an English-speaking region. This could be for school purposes. They need to pass the IELTS exam in order to get into a particular university that they want to get into. And this could also just be for lifestyle purposes if they have a lot of family members or close ones who live in English-speaking countries. There could be a million reasons why someone would need to learn English or strongly desire to learn English, but you will need to have a legitimate reason if you want to succeed, or else I think it'll be incredibly difficult to stay disciplined in studying. Now, to quickly recap, the 5 reasons why English immersion alone will not make you fluent is because of 1, the high levels of diversity in English-speaking regions. 2, not everyone is going to be proactive enough to actually see improvements. 3, you'll have to deal with human nature. Not all people will have the patience to help you learn English. 4, you may not even get enough exposure just by being in an English-speaking region. And then 5, it'll be very difficult if you don't have the right mindset for English immersion to actually work for you. Any questions, comments, concerns, simply leave a comment down below, and I'll see you in the next video.